Hello, and welcome to today's yoga class. We'll be starting off with some seated postures and then moving into a standing sequence. So to start with, take a moment to adjust your posture, starting with the sit bones, lengthening up through the spine, opening through the chest, broadening the shoulders, releasing the shoulder blades, and then redirecting your attention to your breath. On the exhale, firm up the abdomen. On the inhale, allow the abdomen to expand. Or if you're familiar with the complete back breath, you can breathe down the back and then into the belly. As you continue with this, begin relaxing your face, your forehead, your eyebrows, your eyelids, the eyeballs, the jaws, the lips, the tongue, the mouth. Release the bottom jaw, letting it hang, slack-jawed. Let the bottom lip droop, let the cheeks hang from the cheekbones. And then slowly, lazily begin to float your head around to the left or to the right, without stretching or straining anything. With each exhale, softening, relaxing. Especially the muscles behind the eyeballs. Two or three more breaths. Coming back to center. Now working with the shoulders and paying particular attention to the shoulder blades. Take one shoulder and then lift it up. Draw the shoulder back, but try and feel what the shoulder blade is doing. And try and move from the shoulder blade so the shoulder blade draws the shoulder back and down. And then let the shoulder blade slide out away from the spine, around the side of the ribs, and then draw it up. Draw it into the spine, draw it down the back, circling, reversing directions, switching sides, circling one way and then the other, and again trying to really imagine what the shoulder blade is doing, and then actually try and feel the shoulder blade moving, and then try to initiate the movement from the shoulder blade. Roll out both shoulders together, reverse directions, and then alternating, first one direction and then the other. Coming back to center. As we come into our first twist, our posture, our alignment becomes more important when we're twisting. So take a moment to lift the chest, firm the abdomen, bring the base of the throat back, lengthen the back of the neck, float the chest up towards your chin, and then let go of 90% of the effort without collapsing. So just soften while maintaining that alignment. And then taking that with you, leading with the right shoulder blade, drawing around and down, crossing the left hand over. Lift, expand, rotate. Breathe into this position, 3 or 4 nice, deep, complete breaths. Breathing into the belly, the ribs, the chest, and the shoulders. Take another breath, and then coming back to center. And then going through the same process, lift the chest, firm the abdomen, draw the throat back, lengthen the back of the neck. From the left shoulder blade, draw that shoulder blade around and down as you lift the chest up. Cross the right hand over the opposite knee, and then rotating. Two or three nice, deep, complete breaths. And coming back to center. Circling with the rib cage. First one direction, and then the opposite. Coming back to center, and then opening into a side stretch. Take your right fingertips to the floor, extend the left arm, and then lift the chest, firm the abdomen, and take not the hand, but the left shoulder blade and shoulder back, and the chest forward. Flare the ribs, and then if you can't find a stretch through the left side, walk your hand away a little bit. Press the right hand into the floor to push the lower rib cage to the left. Keep drawing the left shoulder blade back, the chest forward. Take a breath or two. And switch sides. Take your left hand to the floor, lift the chest, firm the abdomen, float the right arm overhead. Bring the right shoulder blade and shoulder back, the chest forward and up. Flare the ribs, walk the left hand away slightly. And then breathing into this position. One more breath. Coming back to center, circling. Reversing. And then just rolling up the shoulders, coming to your hands and knees for cat-cow. Three or four more repetitions. Improvising. There are several different hand positions. Come back to center, a couple more cat-cows. Tuck the toes under, walk the hands in close, lift the knees, standing forward bend. And then rolling up to Tadasana, mountain pose. Feet hip width, outer edges parallel. Anchor the big toe, flare little toes wide. Vinyasa Sun Salutation. Bring your hands to prayer. Only two positions, overhead stretch and a forward bend. On an inhale, sweep up. If you want to add a little back bend, you can. On the exhale, reach the hips back, release either halfway, supporting your weight with your hands on thighs, or all the way. As you roll up, when the wrist approaches the kneecap, buckle the knees and continue up. Straighten the legs, lift the arms, chest forward and up, shoulders back. Now, with your breath. As you breathe in, roll up, buckle the knees, stack the vertebra, overhead stretch. On the exhale, reach the hips back slightly, release into a forward bend. Five or 10 more repetitions. Focus on the quality of your breathing. Adjust the movement to synchronize with the breath. Couple more times. And back to center. Trikonasana. Stepping the legs wide. Make sure your hips still have a little play. Turn the left foot out, 90 degrees. Lift the right heel, take it wide, set it down. Spread the toes on both feet, lift through the arches. Shifting your hips to the right, tilting the pelvis. Be a tendency to lean forward. So imagine both feet, both hips, both shoulder blades touching an imaginary wall. And maintain that alignment. Left hand can rest on your thigh or shin or floor, wherever you're comfortable. Try to maintain the length of the low rib cage. Roll the shoulders back. If you have any neck issues, find a position for the head that feels natural and comfortable. And if you're okay with the rotation, you're welcome to turn the head to look up. Keep the base of the throat drawn in, the back of the neck long. 2 or 3 breaths. One more breath. Rotating to the second side. Turn the right foot out 90 degrees. Lift the left heel, take it wide, set it down. Spread the toes, lift the arches, shift your hips to the left, tilt the pelvis. Try to draw a safe, pleasant stretch into the back of the right thigh. Remember, if you pick up any stretch in the back of the knee, bend the knee just enough to keep the stretch in the belly of the muscle. Keep the low rib cage long. Hand on hip or float the left arm. Any position for the head that works for you, rotating if it feels safe and healthy. 3 or 4 more slow, smooth, steady breaths. One more breath. Coming up, turning both feet pigeon-toed, release into a forward bend. Take a few breaths here. Step your feet together. Roll back up to standing. Virabhadrasana 2. Step your feet wide. Turn the right foot out 90 degrees. Turn the left foot in at 60. This time bend the right knee. Stop when the knee is directly above the heel. And if that's easy, go a little wider. Lunge a little deeper. And then bring your
shoulders up square with your hips. Float the arms, sink the shoulders, open the heart, turn just your head. Now try to spiral both legs if you remember how from a previous lesson. Lift the pelvic floor, firm the abdomen from the workshop on the bandhas. And take 3 or 4 more breaths. One more breath. Switch sides. Turn the right foot out. Turn the left foot in. Bend the right knee. Square up your shoulders. Straighten the back leg. Strengthen the back leg. Sink into that back hip. Spiral the legs, opening through the hips and the groin. Float the arms, drop the shoulders, open the heart, turn your head. Oh, gazing out over the left fingertips. Two or 3 breaths. One more breath. Turn your feet in. Step your feet together. Take a moment to breathe. We'll be starting off with a low lunge. If you need a blanket or some padding for your back knee, take just a moment to set that up. You'll put the padding towards the back third of your mat. And we'll step the right foot forward, set the left knee on the floor. Now we want the knee to be directly above the heel. If that is easy, walk your foot away from you until it's a little bit difficult, but you can still do it. If you get your knee foot too far away, you can't get to vertical. Just bring it in enough that you can. Now from here, we're going to come into Virabhadrasana 1, but with the back knee on the floor. Rotate your hips to face straight ahead. Bringing the left hip forward, reaching the right hip back. Lift the pelvic floor, draw the abdomen back. Lift your chest, float your arms out to the side, and if you feel steady with balance, float overhead. And if you start to get a little wobbly, take your arms back out to the side again. Now from here, you're going to try to straighten the back leg, lift the left knee and straighten the left leg without letting the hips lift. They'll probably need to come up a little bit, resist that to a minimum. When you're ready, straighten the back leg. Virabhadrasana 1. Now find the floor without letting your hips sink. Keep working the pose, chest forward and up, shoulders back and down. One more time. Straighten the back leg, keeping the hips down. Find the floor without letting the hips sink. One more time. And then rotate. Lift both knees off the ground. Keep rotating and set the right knee on the floor. Shift your blanket back if you need support or padding. Start with low lunge. Tuck the toes on the back foot. Bring your belly back. Lift the pelvic floor. Draw the abdomen back. Lift the chest. Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara from the yoga class a few weeks ago. Float the arms out or overhead. Pull the belly back, take your chest forward and up, shoulders back and down. And then to make it interesting, lift the back knee without letting the hips rise as much. Try to straighten the back leg. Keep pulling the navel back. Find the floor while lifting the hips higher. straighten the leg while sinking the hips. 2 more times. There may be some rise and fall in the hips, that's fine, just minimize it. 1 more time. And then coming back down, cat-cow. Back to neutral. One more standing pose. Extended lateral angle and then adding a rotation. Tuck the toes, walk the hands in, lift the knees, standing forward bend, take a breath or 2. And then rolling up to standing. Chair pose. So before you even come into chair pose, start with the arches. Root through the ball of the big toe, pull up and out on the quadriceps, spiral the legs until the arches are perfect. Now, take care of the hips. Lift the pelvic floor, firm the abdomen, sink the tailbone, spread the kidneys, hollow the abdomen. The back expands, the abdomen hollows, the chest lifts, the base of the neck draws back, the back of the neck lifts up, and the tailbone sinks. And the abdomen is firm. Keeping that, float the arms overhead, and then take not the hands, but the shoulder blades back. Let the hands follow. Then holding on to all of that, come into a 10% chair pose. Bend the knees 10%, tilt forward 10%, reach the hips back 10%. Now work on the arches, work on the spiral, work on the bandhas. Then if that's difficult, just keep practicing the arches, the spirals, the bandhas. If, however, you think you've got all of those working well for you, take them with you as you go a little deeper into the pose. 5 or 6 breaths. If you need a good workout today, open up the throttle and reach the hips back and down. Work the bandhas, work the spirals, work the arches, the foundation. 1 more breath. Stretch up on an inhale, float the arms out. Walk your way down halfway, pause. Take a breath or 2. Stretch the exhale. One more breath. And then if it feels okay, lean in. Couple more breaths, leaning into a deeper stretch for the hamstrings. Roll back up. 1 more time. Root through the feet. Lift the arches, spiral the legs. Lift the pelvic floor, firm the abdomen, sink the tailbone, lift the chest, chin back, lengthen up through the back of the neck, float the arms overhead. As you pull the shoulder blades back, take the chest forward and up. As you lift the chest, sink the tailbone, holding on to all of that. Work your way deeper. This will be our last chair pose. 4 or 5 breaths. Couple more breaths. Come into a supported forward bend. And either stay there or release. 2 or 3 breaths. One more breath. Take a breath or two. Next we'll be working with a back roll. If you have your own roller, take a moment to set it up. If you don't, take a blanket, fold it long and thin, roll it up really, really tight, keeping the middle part as firm as you can get it. Those of you that haven't done this before, to make it easier, unroll the blanket. To make it more challenging, roll it up further. Start with the roller underneath your shoulders. Arms and head extended. This is supposed to be comfortable. You can support the head with your arms, or you can fold up a blanket and put it under your head or under your arms. As long as you can relax comfortably, that's all that matters. Now breathe into this position. Stretch the exhale. Every 5 or 10 breaths, lift the hips, push yourself over the roller an inch or two, and then set the hips down and relax into the new position. Each time you adjust, you should feel the roller shifting down the length of the spine. So the roller starts close to the neck, and in about 3 more minutes we'll end up with the roller close to the hips. Breathe deep. If you remember from several weeks ago the complete back breath, you can use that. Again, every 5 or 6 breaths, lifting the hips, adjusting, setting the hips down. Go for 2 more minutes. If you've already finished, go back to a favorite spot. Ten or 15 breaths. When you're finished, lift the hips, remove the roller. Draw the knees in to your chest, rock side to side. Now we'll try bridge pose, but with an emphasis on the bandhas. And notice how the bandhas in each different pose, the same bandhas, serve to support and protect the body. Bring the feet in close to the hips, hip width apart, outer edges parallel. Anchor the big toes, spread the toes wide, root through the base ball of the big toe, and spiral the legs slightly. Don't worry about the legs as much for today. I really want you to focus on Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha, Jalandhara. Take the back of your head with your hands, lift it with your hands, and then pull it away from your shoulders, and then set it down one vertebra at a time so the neck touches the floor before the head. And you'll notice that you are in a very similar Jalandhara. You're in the chin lock position now. The back of the neck lengthening, the chin coming closer to the chest. When we come into bridge, the chest will come closer to the chin. Now from here, the hands can grab the ankles, you can interlace your fingers beneath you, you can grab your pelvis when it comes up, or you can press your palms into the floor. Any arm variation you're familiar with is fine. What I want you to focus on is the core and the bandhas. Pick up your 3 marbles, then from the pubic bone, firm up like a zipper closing, firm up from the pubic bone all the way up to the solar plexus. Draw the sides in, spread the kidneys. Let the tailbone release away from the head. And then, without losing any of that action, begin to lift your hips. If you're new to this pose, or if you have any contraindicated conditions where inversions aren't recommended for you, or if you have a very sensitive neck, don't lift high, just a few inches. For those of you that want to continue lifting, see if you can continue to lift without releasing Mula Bandha and Uddiyana Bandha. Now take 5 or 6 breaths, and again, any arm position that you want is fine. If you aren't sure, you can use your hands to support the pelvis. One more breath. Now that you're up, the spiral on the legs is a little more important. Root through the ball of the big toe and pull up and out on the quadriceps. Spiral the legs. And then starting back down. Now try to keep the Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha engaged until after your kidneys touch the floor. And then release and rest. Take a breath or two. We'll try that again in a moment. One more breath. Position your feet. Position your head. Lift and lengthen the back of the neck. Setting it down. Pick up the 3 marbles. Curl the tailbone off the floor. Engage Uddiyana Bandha. Draw the navel in, spread the kidneys wide until you feel the transverse muscle working, and then continue lifting just a few inches, or for those that want to lift further, go ahead and come up into a full bridge. As you come up into bridge, you can begin to bring a little more attention into the legs, pressing down through the ball of the big toe, pulling up and out on the knee, on the thighs. Let the tailbone release away as you firm the abdomen and bring the chest towards the chin. 2 or 3 breaths. One more breath. Now try to keep Mula Bandha, Uddiyana Bandha engaged as you're coming down. Try to keep your hips off the ground until after the kidneys touch. Then draw one knee in, hug it, and pull the opposite knee in and hug both knees. Rock side to side. Take a breath or two. Stretch the exhale. Now coming up to table, roll to one side, come up to your hands and knees. And we'll start in table and then move into downward facing dog. So pay particular attention to your hands, shoulder width or a little bit wider. Turn the little finger out, grip the floor with the little finger, and then rotate in until the middle finger points straight ahead. Set it down and then point the index finger in even further, and then press the knuckle of the index finger into the floor. Take the thumb wide and root. Now, bend the elbows 15 degrees, enough that you can see that they're bent. Now swing the elbows towards your knees and then continue swinging towards each other. And you'll feel the weight shift to the outside heel of your hand. So come back up, root through the knuckle of the index finger, and then without losing that rootedness, bend the elbows slightly and begin to rotate in without losing that anchor. And then notice how that feels in the shoulders, in the arms, in the back. Now tuck the tailbone, tuck the toes, lift the knees slightly, come back halfway towards down dog. Root through the knuckle of the index finger, spiral the arms, and then take that with you into downward facing dog. 2 or 3 breaths. One more breath. Coming down for any variation of cobra, locust, boat, or bow. Press the tops of the feet into the floor, shrug the shoulders, roll the shoulders up and back, reach the chest forward. 3 or 4 breaths. One more breath. Come up to table. Spiral the arms, and this time try to straighten the elbows. If you lose the spiral, if it doesn't make sense to you, bend the elbows, root, squeeze the elbows together, and then straighten the arms without losing that spiral. Now in down dog this time, we'll try to hold on to as much of that as we can. We're going to shift the focus to the legs and to spiraling the legs. Tuck the toes, lift the knees, draw your chest through towards your feet, spread the toes wide. Now try to root the front inner corner of your heel down without letting the arches collapse. So lift the arches and reach the front inner corner of your heel to the floor or towards the floor. Pull up and externally rotate the thighs, spiral the legs, just like we did in Tadasana. If that's difficult, do one leg at a time. Spiral the left leg, Lifting the arches, rooting through the ball of the big toe, front inner corner of the heel, lifting the arch, spiraling the leg, and then switching sides. And if you can do both legs at the same time, fine. Take another breath and come down. Any version, cobra, locust, boat. Oh, this is our last work for the back muscles. 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 more breaths. We gotta do one last down dog. One more breath. Come back to table. Okay. So our final repetition with downward dog, we'll start with the arms, we'll add the legs, and then we're going to focus on the bandhas. If you can hold on to everything else and add the bandhas, fine. If not, focus on the bandhas. Don't worry whether or not you're able to hold on to the rest of the pose. Start with the arms. Spiral the arms. Keeping that, tuck the toes, lift the knees, reach the hips back. Lift the tailbone up. Now root through the feet and lift and externally rotate the thighs. Spiral the legs. And then pick up your 3 marbles. Then hollow the abdomen, spread the kidneys. And bring all 3 bandhas into the pose. If you can't hold on to the rest of the pose, don't worry about it. Just keep the bandhas engaged as you practice down dog. When you're ready to start slowing down, pigeon pose. And you'll be leading with the right leg coming forward, sliding the left leg back. Looking for a delicate, gentle stretch in the outer thigh, hip, or the buttocks. Stretch the exhale and take 2 or 3 breaths just adjusting, repositioning, looking for where you get the least amount of discomfort, ideally no discomfort at all, and then adjusting for pleasure. Stretch the exhale, 5 or 10 more breaths. Two or 3 breaths. Push back into down dog. Take a breath or 2. And then bring the left knee forward. Slide the right leg back. Again, take a couple breaths, adjusting, repositioning. Trying to improve on the quality of the stretch. Not the intensity though, just the quality. Then turn your attention to breathing and relaxing, stretching the exhale. 5 or 10 breaths. 2 or 3 breaths. Coming into a spinal twist. Any favorite twist is fine. If you aren't sure, bring the right knee, or for a more gentle, safer variation, bring both knees to your chest. Roll to the left, and then turn your upper body back to the right. If there's any pinching, any unhealthy or unpleasant sensations, begin experimenting, adjusting, repositioning. And if you can't find a position that feels comfortable and safe, just come back to center and hug both knees and rest for a few breaths. Five or 10 breaths. Two or three more breaths. Switching sides when you're ready. Come back to center. Hug your left knee or both knees to your chest. Roll to the right. Turn the upper body back to the left. Again, make sure you feel safe and comfortable before you relax. Don't stay in any position that doesn't feel healthy and comfortable. Couple more breaths. And then hug both knees. Rock side to side. And coming into Shavasana, the knees can be bent, or if you're comfortable, you can extend the legs. Check your body for symmetry. Feet spread evenly, a little wider than the hips. The palms turned up, the shoulder blades drawn together, the armpits open, and then the back of the neck long. And then most importantly, make any adjustments you need to be completely comfortable. And now engage all 3 bandhas and then release them, but at 1%, the most delicate engagement. Just enough that if you're paying attention, you can feel it. But you'd have to pay attention to notice it at all. When you're ready, pick up the first marble, second marble, third marble, firm the abdomen from the pubic bone to the sternum, lengthen the back of the neck, move the chest towards the chin, draw the shoulder blades down the back, and then release. And then do it as if it's a wave, starting from the tailbone and coming all the way up through the crown of the head. And then release. And one more time. And release. Now letting go of the bandhas. Relax the face, the neck, the shoulders. The arms, the hands, the fingers. The feet, the ankles, calves, knees, and thighs. Loosen hips, relax the buttocks, the low back, the belly, the kidneys, the ribs, the chest, the shoulders, the back of the neck, and soften the throat. The jaws, the lips, the tongue, the mouth, and especially the eyeballs. The space behind, beneath, around the eyes. The eyelids, the eyebrows, the forehead. Temples soft and hollow. The scalp and the crown. Now slowly, lazily, Yawning and stretching and pendiculating. And roll to one side. And coming up to a comfortable seated position.
We'll sit for a few minutes with a meditation. So take a moment to make sure you're comfortable. If you need some support, you might fold the back of your blanket to elevate the sit bones slightly. If you have a favorite way of meditating, feel free to use any type of meditation. If not, use a simple breath meditation. Pay attention to the breath without interfering, without judging. We'll sit for a couple of minutes. When you're ready, coming back to the breath. Breathe a little deeper. And then opening your eyes, bringing your hands together over your heart. I'm so glad you could practice with me today, and I wish you and all you love well. Namaste.